Hi, and welcome to Watch It Played. My name is Rodney Smith, and in this video, we're going to learn the 1 to 4 player expansion to nature, Amazon Rainforest, designed by Dominic Krapuschetz and published by North Star Game Studio, who helped sponsor this video. Small but deadly creatures lurk among the leafy canopy, but don't be distracted by the monkeys playing overhead, or you may not see the jaguar hunting nearby. Amazon Rainforest is the 5th module for the game Nature, which this video assumes you already know how to play. If not, no worries, we have a tutorial video for this, which you'll find linked in the description below, along with any of the other module tutorials we have videos for. The modules give you new ways to play and interact with nature, and this is known as a location module. You can only have one location module in play at a time, but as many of the other types as you like. Here, we're going to focus on the changes Amazon Rainforest adds to the core game. So join me at the table, and let's learn how to play. To set up, follow all the steps from the core game of Nature, but use this Rainforest watering hole in place of the regular one, setting these fruit and poison resistance tokens nearby. Also shuffle the Amazon Rainforest cards, which have this back, into a face-down deck beside the regular Nature cards. Then give each person one of these Amazon Rainforest player aids. And that's the setup. When using the Amazon Rainforest module, along with the new elements it adds to your game, which we'll go over in a moment, you'll now play 5 rounds instead of the usual 4. Also, anytime a player gains a new species, it starts with 2 population tokens instead of 1. In a similar way, when you discard a card to increase your population, it increases by 2 instead of 1. That said, any population tokens that are killed for any reason now go back to the supply. They are not put beside the player's screen to come back into play when they gain a new species. On the other hand, size that is lost when a species goes extinct is still added to the new species gained in the next round. And be aware, when it's your turn to draw 5 cards during the round, you can take them in any combination from the available decks: Nature, Amazon Rainforest, and/or any others you're using from other modules. For example, if we had the Flight module in play as well, I might take 1 Nature and then 3 Amazon Rainforest and 1 Flight card. That said, you have to make the decision about what combination of cards you want and draw them before looking at any of them. So if I wanted 3 Amazon Rainforest and 2 Nature cards, I'd draw all of them first, and then I'd look at their faces. I should also mention each deck will have its own discard pile. And if a deck runs out while playing, you reshuffle its related discard pile into a new draw deck. Revealing traits in this module comes with a new twist as well. Normally, at the end of the adapting phase, any player who added traits to their species would reveal them. But now they stay face down. In this module, players can choose to reveal a trait at any time, but any that are face down do not provide their benefits until they're flipped. And you'll likely keep a trait face down until you'd be able to take advantage of its benefits. But you can always peek at your own face down traits to remind yourself of what they are. As an example, this player might wait until someone hunts as their feeding action to then reveal that they have this scavenging trait, which would allow them to resolve it as well. During the game, if a player wants to hunt a species that still has some hidden traits, some extra steps need to be followed. First, the hunting player must declare which species at the table they want to hunt. At that moment, anyone may choose to reveal any hidden traits they have in any order. So one person might reveal a trait, and that might make 2 other players want to reveal traits, and then the first player who revealed a trait might reveal another, and so on. After all the traits have been revealed, if the hunt is still legal, then a hunt is resolved as normal based on the traits now in play. However, if traits are revealed that would prevent the hunt, in other words, if the hunt would no longer be able to resolve, then the hunter loses 1 population token due to starvation, and their turn ends. For example, if this species targeted this species with a hunt, and after players revealed traits who wished to, the target now had more defense than the attack's hunt value, the hunt would fail. And I should point out, when a hunt fails because of newly revealed traits, traits like scavenging, horned, and poisonous, which normally resolve when something is hunted, will not trigger in that case. All right, with that we've covered some of the new rules with this module, but now I want to start showing you some of the new traits. This is fertile. When a player discards a card to add population to a species with this trait, they gain an extra fed population as well. So as we know, when you increase your population in this module, you get 2 tokens instead of 1. And then since this species has fertile, you'd gain an extra population token with food already on it. This means that if you had 2 fertile traits, then you'd gain 2 population tokens and 2 extra that are fed, because both of these would resolve. Fertile also gets triggered when a flying species receives a fed population token at the faraway place if you're using the flight module. It's also worth noting the fertile trait could be revealed during the adapting phase, just before you increase that species' population in order to gain its benefit of an extra fed population token. Then you could remove this after using it and put another trait in its place, all during the same phase. Moving on, a species with this poisonous trait will kill 4 population from a hunter that targets it. So if this hunter targets this species with poisonous, 4 of the hunter's population will be killed by the effects of poisonous. 1 of this species' tokens will also be killed, and if the hunter survives, it gains 1 of these poison resistance tokens. As we saw, this trait normally kills 4 population from a hunter that attacks it, but notice you subtract 1 from that for each poison resistance token the attacking hunter has. So in this new example, if this hunter attacked this poisonous species, since the hunter has 3 poison resistance, the poisonous species only kills 4 minus 3, or 1 population token. Now, if the poisonous species had 2 of these traits when hunted, they would kill 4 plus 4, or 8 of the attacker's population. Now, this hunter has poison resistance, so that is subtracted from the total. So again, 8 minus 3, or 5 population would be killed from the hunter. Here we have the Omnivorous trait. When it's played or revealed, flip its species dial over to the hunter side. It may now hunt, but its trait indicates that you may still pick to forage with it instead. This allows you to choose which method to use each time it eats. Next up, we have Powerful Jaws. When this is played or revealed, it turns your species into a hunter, but unlike the Omnivorous trait, it may only use the hunt-feeding action now. But it also adds a powerful +3 to its hunt value. However, if your species has both the Omnivorous and Powerful Jaws trait, then the Omnivorous trait would allow the species to choose between forage or hunting each time it eats. That said, if you have a species with the Powerful Jaws trait face down and it's not already a hunter from some other trait, then it is not considered a hunter yet. In other words, when it eats, it must forage from the watering hole as usual. Remember, you ignore the effects of traits that are face down until they are revealed. So this species is not a hunter yet. This brings us to our final trait, climbing. As it says here, a species with this trait can only be hunted by a species that also has the climbing trait. Unlike the fast trait from the main nature box, the number of climbing traits you have does not affect who you can hunt. For example, a species with just 1 climbing trait can still hunt a species with 3 climbing traits. Also be aware, if you're using the flight module, a flying species can be hunted by a species with the climbing trait, and a flying species can hunt a species with climbing. Essentially, flying species are treated as if they have the climbing trait as well, but it does not take up one of their trait slots. You'll notice this trait has another feature. Once per round when foraging, a species with this trait may eat 1 fruit token from the canopy instead of taking food from the watering hole. The canopy is represented by this supply of fruit, which are placed on population tokens, just like plant or meat tokens, to show that a population token has been fed. However, unlike other types of food tokens, each fruit is worth 2 points at the end of the game. If a species has more than 1 climbing trait, they can only use each trait once per round and only 1 at a time. So having used 1 of these, the next time this species eats, it could then use this one in order to gain a second fruit. I also want to point out that if your species with climbing also has the social trait, which gives you +2 food when eating, then when you would gain a fruit in that case, you gain 2 extra. And be aware the fruit tokens are meant to be unlimited, so if you would run out of them, just use a suitable replacement. Also be aware, a species with flying can eat fruit when it forages because, as we learned, species with flying are assumed to also have automatically the climbing trait. If a species has good eyesight, which comes from the flight module, this gives you +1 food when eating, so it would gain an extra fruit when eating fruit. And those are all the traits, which you'll find summarized here on the included player aid. On its other side, you'll also find a reminder of the general rules for this module. Speaking of which, there is one last rule to go over. If you have a face-down trait, you can discard it, but for no other benefit. For example, you cannot treat it as a card you might discard from your hand, which would allow you to increase a species population. This module also comes with components and rules for solo play, and depending on which printing of the game you have, you may also find a promotional trait to add into your game. But those elements I'll leave for you to discover on your own. Otherwise, that's everything you need to know to play the Amazon Rainforest module for nature. If you have any questions about anything you saw here, feel free to put them in the comments below and I'll gladly answer them as soon as I get a chance. You'll also find forums for discussion, pictures, other videos, and lots more over on the games page at Board Game Geek, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. And if you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a like, subscribing, and clicking that little bell icon so you get notification anytime we post a new video. And if you'd like to support us directly, you can join our Patreon team, which I'll have linked below. But until next time, thanks for watching.